My name is Kareska. I'm the content director at a firm called OppLoans. My partner here is Matt Pelkey. He is the education director. The totally legal department approved title of our presentation is "Here's How We Led with Quality Content to Drive High Authority Links." The actual title of our presentation is "Here's How We Got California to Link to Us," which we did. Sorry?
Well, there's going to be pizza.
I'm missing the conversation. Hello?
You gotta cut that portion and let them know that they're coming through.
Oh, yeah, thank you. We could listen into their presentation. Maybe it's better. Maybe they're talking about us.
I think so.
All right. Okay, so just by way of introduction, who OppLoans is. So OppLoans is the highest rated online lender serving the non-prime customer market. We got our start in 2012, but we truly look at our year zero as late 2015, which is when we hired Jared Kaplan as our CEO. Shout out to Jared. A number of us know Jared. He came from Insurion, another great Chicago startup. When he came on board, his first task was really to transform what was a small number of brick and mortar lenders throughout Chicago offering small dollar installment loans into basically a 5-star financial technology services firm, which is what we are today. So if you flash forward 3 years, these are the numbers that we point to. We have 5,000 5-star customer reviews on Google, which is crazy when you think about what our line of business is, how many people actually love their lender. In our case, they do. We have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. We regularly receive industry partner awards from folks like LendingTree, Credit Karma, people that you would know. Our growth rate is pretty explosive. So we've experienced 1,500% growth in the last 3 years. We're roughly at a headcount of about 300, and we've delivered an emergency credit product to about 200,000 customers. This morning, actually, we were listed on the Deloitte Fast Technology 500, I think number 86. Yeah. And we've been on the Inc. 500 for the past 3 years consecutively. We also regularly get workplace culture awards from the likes of Chicago Tribune. Glassdoor recently named us the 6th best place to work in the country, so that's particularly exciting. So very quickly, that's a little bit about us. Who is our audience? Our audience is half of America, and what we mean by that is that half of America actually has a subprime credit score. It's pretty depressing, but it's totally accurate. 8 out of 10 of us live paycheck to paycheck. 60% of us can't afford a $1,000 emergency, and 40% of us can't afford a $400 emergency. So it's a pretty dire situation, and it absolutely creates the need for a responsible installment loan product that's designed to be repaid, and that's what we offer. So from a content perspective, the way that impacts us is our customers are coming to us from a position of need. So when we author content and when we issue marketing materials, it really has to check 3 boxes. The first, we have to advocate for our customer. We have to show them that we're in their corner. Second is that we have to be educational. We have to provide information that's usable and actionable. And the third is we have to be approachable. It's a tough topic. People don't want to think about debt. They don't want to think about money and how they don't have it. So we certainly can't be intimidating, and we certainly can't be inaccessible. And it helps if from time to time we're actually even a little bit entertaining or funny. So what we'll talk about today is a mini case study of a marketing initiative that Matt led that checked all 3 of those boxes very successfully. Also brought us business value as well as some brand return. So Matt?
Great. Excellent. Excellent. So as I mentioned, we rebranded in 2015, and that really provided the backdrop for the situation that we faced. We were starting from scratch, rebuilding our website, and our content team was tasked with 2 key objectives. So 1, go get links to boost our search engine rankings, and 2, build brands. We activated a number of content campaigns, launched a couple of content channels, but what I'm going to talk to you about today is a piece of content that proved most successful. And I'm going to walk you through our thought process that led us to it, as well as the steps that we took to create it. So our solution was something called OppU, and it's a financial education site. It teaches the fundamentals of financial literacy through interactive quizzes and videos. It's aligned to national standards for financial literacy, And it features, among others, former Bears player Israel Adonijah as one of the narrators. So how did we decide on this? Well, when evaluating potential content that we wanted to pursue, there were 4 questions that we asked, and here's what they are. One, pretty basic, will people want to link to it? So how much of demand is there for content like that? Second question, who will want to link to it? This is where those links will be coming from. Will they be high authority sites that provide SEO value, or will they be lower authority sites that don't as much? Third, how tough will it be to get somebody to link to it? This is a practical consideration. It's essentially how often is the site updated and how responsive is the person who is updating the site. And lastly, what's the competition? This is fundamental. So if there's a lot of similar content out there that's far better than yours, it makes it really hard to pitch your content when you're doing link building. Next step for us was answering those questions. And the best way we found to do that was to find existing content that was similar to the content that we wanted to produce. So in this case, we looked at one site in particular. It was produced by Visa. It's called Practical Money Skills, and it's a financial education site, essentially what we wanted to do. And we used an SEO tool that many of you are probably familiar with, Ahrefs, that let us take a peek at the sites that were linking to it. And then with that, we were able to answer all the questions that we had. So, yeah. Ahrefs, it's Ahrefs. Yep. So yeah, Ahrefs, you can see all of the inbound links to any site or page on the internet. So we plugged in Practical Money Skills, and then we got a list of all of the sites that link to it. So to answer the first question, will people want to link to a financial education site? The answer was a resounding yes. There were 9,500 do follow links, so those are links that are passing link equity and providing SEO value, huge number of them. So there's lots of opportunity for us. Who will want to link to it? Ahrefs also breaks down the domains, so you can see where those links are coming from, and they were getting really good high authority links. So 63 of them were coming from government pages, 256 were coming from colleges or high schools, about 1,800 were coming from .org domains, so that's likely nonprofits. How tough will it be to get somebody to link to it? So you can look at all the pages that are linking to a particular site, and a quick glance at those, we were able to find one in particular that really piqued our interest. It was on the California Department of Education's website, and what was particularly promising about it was, in addition to being a list of financial literacy resources, and so obviously a good target, it had at the bottom a contact. So it had a name, it had an email address, and it had a phone number. That's exactly what we're looking for. What's the competition? There's actually a lot of pretty stiff competition out there. So just a quick Google search, we're able to find a number of competitors who had very resourced financial education sites. So the bar was high, which we had to meet, and we did meet. But looking for an additional value prop, we were able to provide our content for free. A lot of the other financial education sites were subscription services and paid. So in link building efforts, we were able to tout free resources and distinguish ourselves from competitors that way. What were the results? So we reached out to the California Department of Education, said, hey, check out these financial literacy resources. And they took a look at them, loved them, and added them to their site. So we got a link from them. We also got links from some other government pages that had lists of financial literacy resources. So we got links from Iowa, Kansas, Oklahoma, Illinois, and Maryland. We got links from colleges, education journals, nonprofits. Overall, really good high authority links coming from those highly sought after .gov, .edu, .org domains. All of this is to say that OppU met the 2 objectives that we were tasked with. It helps to grow the company and shepherd into the success that we see today. So I think we can take questions now if anybody has any.
Sure. Do you have a dedicated person in your team actually reaching out? The job is this building outreach, or how do you structure it?
Yeah, we do. That would be myself. So I do that, yes.
And what is your tactic? Is it just sending around a page that is the you think that person might be interested in and basically incentivizing?
Yeah, so I would always start with hrefs, and you see, so from the sites that we're linking to comparable content, those are good targets. And it's always best to make sure that you're choosing the right similar content. So, it has to have sort of like the same level of content. If there's any other factors that make it different, it might not be suitable. So Visa in particular seems like the right choice for us because it was financial education that was provided by a financial services company.
What does your pitch to the people sort of sound like you're trying to get them to link to? Because I think it's like, I think probably a lot of us in this room have get those emails from kind of people all the time. That are like, they're like, hey, I'd love to link to you without that much more information. So how do you sort of sell it to them?
Yeah, it depends on the target. So you have to, again, it's finding some way to distinguish yourself because especially with a lot of the sites that we found through the backlink profile of Practical Money Skills, they already list to a bunch of other financial literacy resources. And so we had to say, hey, here's why our content is different and will provide additional value. So for us, it was free. We could say, hey, this is free. We noticed that you're linking to other resources that aren't free, they're subscription. Check this out. You can make this available to everyone at no cost.
So what was your uptake percentage? Like you went out to 100 people, how many people?
For link building, just the outreach that we were conducting. So it was pretty targeted with all of those, like the .gov domain, so all of those government pages. It was good. It was 10%, which is pretty good. I think most would agree. And the reason why is because we decided on tactics that were targeted and focused. So rather than just emailing, we would call. And sort of, and you have to decide, you have to like take it case by case. But for these, it made sense to call, and you can lead with something that isn't like a direct ask. You could just say, hey, I noticed that you have a list of financial literacy resources. What is the process for submitting new resources for inclusion on that list, rather than like, hey, link to this, You have to like phrase it the right way.
Did you find any like specific type of content that was more linkable, like data driven or instructional, or maybe like influencer, or was it kind of more dependent on like the domain that you wanted to link from? Did you come approach?
Yeah, the latter. Yeah, it depends on the domain. It depends what they're looking for sure. Yep.
Did you find that using that Chicago Bear person does he narrate all the videos?
He does. No, he does a third of them.
Did you find that helped move the needle a little bit in terms of people being more?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it was good too because in outreach emails we could mention it, and I think just having some like if there's name recognition, especially coming from a startup that a lot of people haven't heard of, if there's some name that we can include that they would recognize, whether it's like Israel Adonijah or just like the Chicago Bears, I think that you get better reception because of that. Yeah. Okay, great. If that's all the questions, I think we're ready for our next speaker.